making your sound better.
Yo, it's Larsson and welcome to this new WA production course where I'm going to show you how I built up this very nice little groove. So it's short, but it contains lots of very nice techniques that I bet you will be able to implement into your production. So in the first video, I'm showing you how to build up this very nice groove from 2 one-shots. And I also added a personal touch using Operator. Then I'm going to build up the main bass with a screechy riser that is crazy good and you can hear it in lots of cinematic sounds. In the next video, I'm going to use a glitch sample that I tweaked to make it sounding very cool and tension rising. And then filtered bass sound under this glitchy sound to complete the whole groove. So if you are interested, hop in the course. I bet you will learn a lot. Okay, let's start with the drums. Let's drop the drum rack. And we are going to use samples because, you know, using or synthesizing this type of slams, very heavy cinematic drums, is pretty hard. So I would not go into detail of that. But, you know, using simple one-shots can do it. So the first one sounds like this. Reverse slam. This is so cool. So let's avoid snapping and maybe we can use some hard velocity. You know, we can play with the velocity. It's pretty good. Okay. So let's add the MIDI. And let's use the first boom and right before the next boom, this reverse kind of thing. Oops, but I want to use 180 on the BPM. Oh, this is not the way I wanted. That's it. Let's copy this 3 times and the 4th one should be a little different, like pom 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 pom. And let's turn this into triplet grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and let's play the velocity to avoid this type of machine gun effect. Oops, but this is too much, obviously, so be careful with the velocity. So obviously the best would be to use a library for this or synthesize your own drums, but as I said, it is pretty hard, so just let's stick to using samples now. Okay, now what I would do is use an operator for the low part. So it is very simple to do a simple boom. So let's stick to, for example, C3. Or maybe we can drop it lower to C1. And with the pitch envelope, we can do some extra punch to it. Okay, let's add some distortion. Maybe the soft one will be better. Okay, and let's add some punch using FM modulation, but you know, only on the beginning of the sample, while this is not a sample on the sound. And maybe some extra voices on the subby part. Okay, let's add the reverb and an EQ. Oops. So EQ8, maybe we can drop some saturation too. So with some extra distortion or the pedal, we will see which sounds better, and the reverb at the end. Let's see the fuzz. Okay, now the sound or the MIDI is too short, so let's lengthen it. And the envelope should be shortened too. Okay, and huge reverb. Wow, this is too long. So the goal here with the filter is to keep the ending, so this part of the envelope, the main envelope, filtered, but the transient and the beginning of the sound is fully opened, to keep it fully opened. So we don't have that very rumbly kind of subby part on the tail of the sound. So this is a basic boom effect, and you can play with the transposition. Maybe this is even better on lower frequency. So if you want, you can filter the slam and use the operator instead. So it's really up to you. The goal here is basically to add a personal touch to it. Okay, so I think I like this thing. Let's move on to the first sound in this little clip that you heard in the promo video. Okay, so let's make the first bass sound. And for that I'm going to use Serum and custom wavetables. So first, let me drop it here. So this is a custom wavetable that you will be able to download along with the project file, and this one here. So the principle is going to be the same. Let's use FM and the warping mode here, like the mirror one, something like that. And let's use LE41 to modulate a bunch of things here. So let's start with, for example, the wavetable position on oscillator B again. We don't need this one, only as a, as a rhythm tool. So it's so cool because we have the basic sound from the harmonics from oscillator A, and oscillator B is pulsating, so giving the rhythm basically. It's such a cool thing. Also, let's use LE41 on the FM. And we are going to need some voices. And the filter. Let's go to the multi-filters and the BPN 24. And we are going to just filter oscillator A. Okay, let's add the sub too. Oops, but not direct out. Okay, and now let's make the wavetable itself, because this is dumb now. Just make a random movement on the sound, basically. That is unique, you know. And obviously trigger it. Let's add the vibrato or a tremolo to it. And for that we need to go to the matrix. So let's use LFO2. And as a destination use global master tune. And again LFO2 global amp. Let's pull back the amp. So right now, obviously this is too slow, so let's crank up. Yeah, this would be cool. And let's see what we want to do with the master tune. Okay, and as an aux source, let's set LFO. Oops, not 5 but 3, sorry. So LFO 3. So what it does, it will activate LFO 2 when it goes higher. So right now it is deactivated. As you can hear. So this is such a cool thing because you can create nice movement, nice variations to the bass. So let's set it to 1 bar length and let's drop a ramp to it. Yeah, this is such a cool thing. Also, let's add a punch to it using envelope 2. Again, on global master tune. This will be fine. Okay. Now let's go to the FX. Let's use a distortion in diode 2 mode. We need basically lots of distortion here. But pull back the mix. And let's use LFO1 on the mix and on the drive. Let's filter the low end because, you know, we have lots of unwanted frequencies if we have too much bass frequencies. Okay, let's add an OTT. Okay, we are going to need the band reject filter too. Use LFO1 on the cutoff and on the morph. I love this filtered side, by the way, because you can create sort of vocal type sound. Let's use an equalizer to add a little more tops to it. Okay, let's go to the drive, and the amp is such a cool device, I love it. And Rock 1 is a cool thing here. Oops. So pull back the gain, and this will result a lot less distortion. Okay, maybe the heavy is a little better. And we are going to need a little reverb too to add some space to it, basically. But just a very few touch to it. Okay, let's add an EQ 8. So when you apply lots of distortion, these are the frequency ranges that basically always needs to be taken care of. You know, the mid-low parts and the mid-high parts. Maybe this is a little too much on the top shelf. Okay, I think this will be cool. And let's drop this MIDI to it. Okay, and maybe this is too long, so let's make it less shorter. And also this MIDI. So this part will be fine for adding some crazy reverby kind of touch to it. But I forgot to add the portamento. So I set everything, it's like mono, legato, and the portamento time should be always on the same value, so around 150 or 150. So something like this. And because, as you can see, I applied some pitch bend to it. Also here, we need to extend the pitch bend range to the maximum. This is what I always do. Okay, and let's add the reverb and activate it only here. So let's go to dry wet. This is a little quiet, so let's add some gain. Okay, right now this is nice and growly, and let's add a few other instruments in the next videos. Okay, before we go forward, I need to EQ this bass because I feel that it's a little too much on the high end. So let's go with low pass. Okay, this is a lot better now. And with this modulation, I think we messed up by using a bipolar modulation here on the main amp. So that's it. This is what we are looking for. Cool. Okay, so next I want to add an operator, and you know, you can use Serum too, but basically we just need a white noise. So this is how it sounds now. In the filter, let's use 0 on the key follow. Yeah, that's it. So basically what we need to do here is apply an EQ8 and just, you know, make a huge peak around whatever frequency you want to use. So something like that. And this is important because, you know, you cannot do this inside neither operator or neither Serum. or other synths, you know, we don't really have these very heavy resonant filters in any of the synths. So what I want to do is group EQ8 and basically set all of the frequency knobs to the macro. With this, we are creating a huge frequency peak that you can move back and forth. Now, one more thing, I think it is better to keep the EQ shelves very narrow. So we want to have a very resonant sound. And when we got it, we need to go with a pedal and actually the fuzz. So this is what we get now. Okay, let's add more gain, input gain basically. That will create a lot more distortion on the sound. So this is a very cool sound. Maybe we can add a little more tops. Okay, let's add an OTT after the distortion. Now, the problem is that when we go higher, we have lots of low frequencies that we don't need. So what I would do is put everything in the rack, and let's use another EQ8 after the OTT. Let's use a high pass, and again, set the frequency to the macro. So basically, as I move the knob, as you can see, it will kill all the low frequencies that we don't need. Maybe we can use a simple high pass. Cool. And maybe if you want, you can add some voices, unison voices, so you get a very nice stereo sound. And also, I think we need to cut the highs a little too. Well, not too much, but this is cool. And a reverb to the end. All right, so here comes the tricky part. We need to adjust the MIDI to a certain note. You can use external Max for Live devices for that, but let's use the macro version now. So basically it doesn't matter what MIDI note you put here, but let's separate them a little. And because we use the D here as a root note, we need to use D also. So what we want to do is open the EQ8 and let's set this around the D. You can check it in the little window here. So if you see D, that means that you are at the right place. And that is going to be around 580 Hertz. And as you can see here, we are at D. So it is very easy to set the modulation at around 550. All right. And let's go up by 1 semitone. So what we want to do is increase. So it was D. We need D sharp. So this is too much. And we are at D sharp now. And here, let's go up by 1 octave. And that is going to be around 1200 Hertz. So this rising effect is so cool. Okay, one more thing is adding a volume ramp basically. So a fade in effect using the utility tool. Something like that. Okay, let's see now, all together. So this is so cool. So now you know how to make these very high, very resonant, distorted leads or effects or risers. And in the next video, we're going to make another very cool thing. All right, let's put something here. Now, I released a free sample pack on my YouTube channel called Let's Synthesize. And these are very nice neural glitches. So we can use up some of these. Let's drop one here. And because it is set to complex warping mode, we can hold shift and lengthen it. Okay, so let's add the fade. And if I crank it up to 1 octave, this is how it sounds. So as you can hear, it's very nice transformer-y kind of sound. I really like how this boosts up the energy and the tension. Cool, but let's add some effects to it. So first of all, what I want to do is adding a frequency shifter. So this is great to, you know, adding even more tension for the sound. So let's go up to about 1K. And let's start it at around minus 450. So this is how it sounds now. So cool. Now let's add the pedal for more higher overtones. Eee, such a cool sound. And my other very favorite tool in Ableton 11 is the spectral resonator. So here in reverb and resonance, we have the spectral resonator. All right, so let's set the frequency about 49. So this is going to be the key of this song. So 49. And you know, you can play around with these settings, but the most important part here is the unison mode. So let's crank it up to 8 and I don't know, detune it, because the unison amount is really about just detuning the voices. Okay, so basically this is the sound. I need to pull back the volume because it is too loud now. Okay, it is very cool, but I still miss something, and we can still put some basses, some sort of weird filtered kind of subby bass sequence in the next video. Okay, so as the final sound, I want to call Operator, and I would say probably we could use Serum too, but you know, Operator is a lot simpler for doing very simple stuff, even for complex stuff, because the FM capabilities in Operator is like a whole lot better than Serum's. Now, first I want to add the MIDIs. Something like this. And for the main oscillator, I want to add some extra harmonics. Something like this. Let's modulate it with another thing that has similar harmonics to, like extra harmonics, I mean. And if you drag the phase, you can create exciting things with that. In the filter, you can click different filter types with different filter emulations with drive. And I want to use them, crank it up to about 9. Very crazy. Also a heart shaper. So I would say this is a really hard sound, so let's filter it. Okay, the next thing is the Let's Synthesize Fat track. So let's drop it here. Now this Fat track contains lots of very cool stuff. Let me break it down for you. I'm not going to build this up from scratch, but I'm going to show you how this thing is built up. So as you can see, there are saturation 1 split and drive, saturation 2 split and drive, saturation 3 split with drive. So basically these are 3 sub-racks with different types of distortions. And because as you can see, there is a split macro here, you can decide where you want to put the distortion on. As you can see on the bottom, there is a fuzz distortion in the first one. In the second one, there is an amp distortion. And on the third one, again on the bottom layer or on the bottom band, there is a bit warmer preset. 3 different types of distortions and mainly on the low end. So of course you can narrow it if you pull back the macro on both of the distortions, but there are some other cool stuff. So there is a unison mode, comes from the spectral analyzer. And now if you saw the previous video, you know what I did here. I just cranked up the unison voices and I added some detuning, and you can decide with the driver knob how much you want to add this to the sound. Then we have a glue compressor after an overdrive, and you can set the overdrive vet here. I don't want any here, neither the unison. Okay, we have a tape saturator. So as you can see, we have lots of saturation, lots of distortions here that really creates a very hard sound. Now there is a formant shifter. This is a very nice rack. You can see here formant split and the formant shift knob. Now this is a band splitting rack. As you can see, we have a top band, we have a bottom band, and on the top band I applied a grain delay. That is so cool because you know you can pull back the transposition of the delay, and if you set the delay to, I mean, the lowest delay value, you can use this as a on-the-fly transposition effect. So you can hear how it pushes the sound, shifts the sound, and even if we go down, you can create some crazy things. We have a rack of OTTs, I mean a series of OTTs, 2 OTTs. And then here is the magic tool, the corpus, that creates a very heavy low end. This is the crazy sub. Okay, and we have a limiter, we have a Haas rack that basically only applies the Haas effect on the top band. And it is set to 1 kilohertz. Then a limiter and an end saturator if you want to add it. Now I don't want any Haas effect here, but I want to crank up the crazy sub. And basically this is it. All of the other settings in the macros are fine, but we need some other stuff. For example, let's add even more distortion using the pedal tool, and I love the fuzz distortion sub. Let's add the bass, activate the sub, and we don't need the full effect on it. This is fine. Now we need an EQ8 too, especially because I want to use a low pass and I want to introduce the sound something like this. So we can draw in the modulation already. Or maybe we can go higher too. All right, let's add another distortion, this time an overdrive, but just a slight touch to it. And let's focus on the middle frequencies. All right, this is cool. We need a utility tool to make the thing mono. Okay, let's play with the filter a little. Yeah, because here was this frequency speed that was very squeaky, very sweepy. I didn't really like that. And there is one more thing I want to add here is a delay. Where is the delay? Audio effect delay. I think the regular delay will be fine. So it is really cool to put it right after the utility to add some atmosphere to it. But I want to filter the delay voices. And maybe we can use the ping pong one. Okay, so we need to be very careful with the filtering. I don't want to have too much low end on the delays, but also I want to have it like really filtered on the top end too. So I want to focus on the middle bass frequency or the middle low end at around 400 Hertz. Right now, I think it is fine. So let's see all together how they sound. Okay, so now I can hear that the filtering is not very proper because it is too crawly. I want to go lower a little. But this is too much. Okay, now we have this distorted sound. I want to add even more. This one is. I want to add more reverb because it is too dry, it is too upfront. I want to push it in the background a lot more. Okay, so I really like this. One more step. I had to add some Q to the filter, I mean for the EQ8, because I filtered the boominess, the kick, the slam part of the kick layer, I would say, or the slam layer. So it was like this previously. It is too soft, so I had to add a little more kick to it. So this is why it sounds a little better now, and I also had to add more gain. Okay, and there is one more step to, well, master it a little, but let's do that in the next video. Okay, so the final mastering, I don't want to waste too much time on this because, you know, this is not EDM. We don't want to go very, very hard and loud, but instead we want to keep or maintain the punchiness, but also making it a little louder. But if you are into EDM and bass heavy production, you know that we need to sidechain some of the things if you want to get rid of very heavy digital clipping. So we have this bass that has some conflict with the drums, with the slam, basically. So what I would do is drop a utility tool and, you know, pull back the volume on every hit of the drum. So it is very simple, just do something like this. Maybe a little longer. Okay, let's make a new automation track. Drop one here, maybe here if the bass has some tail. So the same thing here. And the next thing that we are done here. And the next thing is this subby bass. So because it is very filtered on the first hit, I think we can delete that, so we won't have any conflict with the slam. So right now, this is how they sound. All right, I think it sounds fine. And so because this screamy thing and this one has no low end at all, so we can go right to the mastering. So again, I don't want to go very crazy with the mastering, but I would definitely want to avoid digital clipping. So let's start with the limiter. After that, we can add some compression, but just be careful with that because we don't want to lose the dynamics. So the slams should hit really hard. You can enable soft clipping, that is an analog style saturation. That is fine. If you don't boost the sound too heavy, you won't get any trouble. So let's see what we get now. Let's go to the clip mode where we can see the mastering view meter a lot more precisely. Okay, so at around 5 decibels of makeup, I think we will be fine. But let's add an EQ also, an EQ8 right before the limiter. I want to add a little more low end. And also the mid-bass frequency, the mid-bass range is a little muddy, so I would tame that a little at around, well, we will see. So yeah, at around 300 Hz it's fine. Also, I think a high shelf will be a good idea at around 13K. And at around 3K I heard some weird frequencies. Let me show it to you. So this is the frequency that really bothered me. I want to tame it a little. And you know, these are very, very slight EQing. And if you have some reference, song reference, whatever, you can use that too. But I'm just following my ears now. I think this will sound fine. Maybe some boost on the highs. Also, maybe I think we can add a little more mid frequencies at around 1K. And if you want to add even more volume to it, do it with a limiter at the end of the chain. So maybe 2 decibels will be cool. Also, if you find the compression too much, so if you lost too much dynamics, pull back the dry wet. So I think setting it at around 75 decibels or 75%, sorry, would be cool. Let's see. I feel that at the end, the compression is a little too much, so let's see. No, actually this is only the reverb on the slams. Yeah, so maybe I think we could or we should tame the decay time on the reverb, but only at the end. Yeah, I think it sounds a lot cleaner now. So you can use these tricks. It is not a big sin if you automate the reverb tail or drive it on the reverb. It's totally fine to achieve a clean mix down. If you use, for example, samples, one-shot samples or a library, it is a little hard to do that, but there are always some tricks you can use. Anyway, I think it sounds fine now, and I hope you learned a lot today. I was Larsson of Let's Synthesize. See you guys next time. Peace.